However, it is important to remember that the glories of the Apollo era grew out of the fear that America was falling behind as a scientific and technological power. We were worried about being eclipsed by the Soviet Union. Today, we fear being eclipsed by China. It is clear that as a society, we face two great challenges that demand transformational technologies. These aren't the only ones, but they are great. First, energy and environmental sustainability. And second, more effective evidence-based medicine and a more efficient, inclusive healthcare system. It is instructive to consider what is required to create a sustainable energy system. We obviously need an overall national energy strategy. A suggested strategy and action plan were laid out by the U.S. Council on Competitiveness in its Energy Security, Innovation, and Sustainability initiative that took place over the last 2 years, which I was privileged to co-chair. First, we must find new, renewable power sources and storage technologies, such as advanced batteries. Second, we must find ways to use existing energy sources with less impact. Third, if the future of transportation is to be more electrical, we also need to determine where all this electricity is going to come from and what physical, economic, and regulatory infrastructure is needed to support this future. Finally, we must develop two forms of intelligence in our national electrical grid: the ability to deal with multiple types of energy sources, including the intermittency of renewable energy, and the ability to support smart appliances that draw electricity during low demand periods. In other words, an explosion of new industries is required to answer the questions of energy security and climate change. Our economic opportunities and grand challenges happen to be one and the same. Healthcare as well can benefit from new technologies that could generate new industries. These include enabling technologies for the mitigation and cure of diseases, which may soon include revolutionary ways to use biological processes themselves to manufacture new treatments. Technology may soon make genome sequencing and drug development so affordable that personalized medicine will become the standard. Our healthcare system itself requires a range of technological innovations to lower its overall costs while spreading its benefits to all Americans. This includes, of course, electronic health records and new ways to monitor patient health conditions in real time, or to connect patient health information to broader databases and to research results in ways that allow prevention and or mitigation of disease. However, before there can be new industries, there must be transformative ideas, the key ingredient in an innovation ecosystem. Game-changing ideas tend to arise out of basic research, which pushes the boundaries of human knowledge. As well, the endpoints of research in terms of eventual use often cannot be envisaged, even by the researchers themselves. History is replete with startling juxtapositions of initial purpose and eventual application, such as microwave technologies developed for missile detection, which now are used in cancer treatments. History also shows that out of open, long-term, sometimes directed exploration, thriving industries are born. It was research at the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, for example, that led to the Internet, itself spawning myriad enterprises. Other examples include DARPA support for VSLI chip development, Department of Defense and NASA for composite materials, the National Science Foundation for supercomputers and NSFNet, and again, the Department of Defense for the GPS system. Everybody has them these days. Unfortunately, in recent years, across multiple sectors, we have stunted basic research to meet shorter-term goals. Corporations increasingly have found high-risk, long-term investments difficult to justify, particularly given investors' interests in quarterly results. As a consequence, universities increasingly are the locus of basic research, which unites seamlessly with our mission to educate. However, government agencies in supporting university-based research have focused increasingly on safe, near-term bets, preferring to fund incremental projects proposed by researchers. Since business and government benefit from basic research done in universities, they should support it in a robust, consistent, and patient way. Next, we must improve the translational pathways that bring ideas into applied commercial and societal use. One pathway involves the protection, regulation, and exploitation of intellectual property. There always have been university discoveries that have been commercialized. Take Gatorade. The Bayh-Dole Act sought to spur this further by giving universities ownership of the results of their federally funded research, the right to patent and license these results, and to share royalties with the researchers, with faculty. Through the deliberate exploitation of their intellectual property, modern research universities are linked to the marketplace more strongly than ever. Bayh-Dole has been successful, spinning off thousands of new enterprises based on university patents. Because of their educational mission, and because there are costs in converting the work done at universities into private property, universities must adopt a sensible approach to the intellectual property that emerges from their laboratories. They must balance the virtues of commercializing new discoveries with the free sharing of ideas to allow further discovery and innovation, while also taking account of the ethical and sometimes security issues inherent in technologies that can be used for good or ill. Now, within such a context, universities may view the the question of which discoveries should be kept proprietary and which should be open-sourced as a matter of the ethos of research. Data must be and are shared openly for easy collaborations among researchers. To that end, computer scientists at Rensselaer are creating a semantic web platform that will compile scientific data on an unprecedented scale from every possible source and make it accessible for the first time to citizens as well as scientists all over the world. The government may consider the same question as a matter of policy to spur innovation, possibly granting an automatic exemption to patent law for the use of proprietary intellectual property in non-commercial research at universities. These are just some of the questions. But commercial enterprises do and should spring, I believe, from university research. We need to support the fledgling startups that grow out of that research and those independently created by entrepreneurs and network them into the innovation ecosystem. At Rensselaer, we created one of the first university-based business incubators in the country to help startups bring their products to market. Today, the standardized services incubators have offered, accounting, legal advice, sometimes a fax machine and a desk, while necessary, are not adequate to launch breakthrough enterprises in fields such as synthetic biology or nanomaterials. So today we're in the process of refocusing our efforts on targeted innovation in key areas with new models for incubation and commercialization tied to regional economic development. The fourth element required for our innovation ecosystem is capital, financial, infrastructural, and human. Financial capital clearly is a challenge in the current economic climate, particularly for new technologies requiring seed or early stage investment. We clearly need a new financial model for startups, as venture capitalists increasingly prefer to invest in less risky later stage enterprises, and entrepreneurs refer to the widening valley of death when no financing is obtainable. Large corporations, too, are not always willing to fund the development of broad use technological breakthroughs that offer them no exclusive competitive advantage.